Hello, everybody, and welcome. We have an incredible event here today, hosted by Call Tools and TCPA Technologies. It's my honor and privilege to have Randy here with us, and Randy is the founder of TCPA Technologies. Randy, how are you?
Great, Chaz. Thank you. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Awesome. We've been very excited to have this event, and we're going to talk a lot about the integration that we've built between your amazing technology and Call Tools. I wanted to start first by understanding more about what it is. So what is TCPA Technologies? What is it you guys do?
Sure. So we've built this, a series of solutions for capturing and managing TCPA consent and revocations. So the problem that we're trying to solve in the industry is that if you're a company that you're getting inbound phone calls or live transfers, or even if you're generating transfers,
Sure.
The consent that you're relying on may not be good. Or may not be existent at all. So for example, if you're taking inbound phone calls from digital media, traditional media, direct mail pieces, all of those things would require an advertiser to collect consent to be able to call that consumer back. If you're going to do so within the TCPA regulations. So our services help establish that consent very easily, and we manage it on behalf of our clients as well.
That's incredible. And I'm sure we're going to go through a demonstration here in a minute, and we'll be able to see the platform in action. What's really awesome, and I thought it was very unique what you were doing, is that you're getting a written consent during a live phone call. And I had never seen that. I still haven't seen that anywhere else. So I think it's very brilliant what you've built here. Randy, if you could share with me, what was your inspiration to kind of create this product?
Yeah, well, there was a hole in the marketplace, that's for sure. So I've come up through the lead gen world, been in for 20 plus years, spent a lot of time working specifically inside of TCPA compliance with some companies that provide services there. And everything was really around, consent being captured on a data lead. And I always thought that there was something that was missing there, that consent is still needed on inbound calls. And there was really no solution for that. So about a year ago, when there was a lot of discussion about the one-on-one consent coming out, which of course the ruling was vacated, that's when we really started getting serious about this. And we were thinking, now if this comes into play, right, you're going to have thousands of call transfers where consent cannot be transferred to the advertiser. The advertiser has to collect consent on their own. And we're like, that's a big problem. So with all those leads, being basically wiped out of consideration, those advertisers need a solution to be able to capture consent. So we're like, what is the easiest way we can build a solution for a company, for their agent to be able to interact with the consumer on the phone and capture consent that is actually approved by e-sign legislation, that's going to be reliable and it's going to be considered to be a great source of proof and documentation for whenever, hopefully never, but whenever that company may have to get a TCPA claim, we can actually produce a certificate that shows, hey, this is the experience that we went through with the consumer to capture consent, and we're protected.
It's verbal. It's something concrete. It's not a call recording, which has its own compliance where you need to make sure that you're disclosing that properly to begin with. And I don't know. And again, this is where it gets. I'm not an attorney or anyone that could speak on this affirmatively, but I don't know that a call recording is going to be good enough in a lot of these situations, right? And I think that's what you were finding.
Typically it's not, so going back to the one-on-one consent thing, it is still, even though the rule was vacated for this last round, one-on-one consent is still required and recommended in a lot of applications. So across the CMS world, if you're doing anything in health insurance, one-on-one consent is definitely required. There's also one-on-one consent, which is encouraged if you're and needed if you're making any calls to a number which is on a DNC list. So the one-on-one consent thing is still out there. It's real, and the best way to protect yourself as a company is to be able to generate a fresh live consent when you're on the phone with that consumer.
Awesome. It's incredible. Like I said, I get really excited hearing about your technology because it is so unique, and I think you're going to solve a big piece in this industry, and I think you're going to become the leader and the authority here. And I really hope that you do, and that we want to do that along with you. For everyone who's tuning in, Call Tools, and you're familiar with our platform, we are so happy that you're here and you're checking this out. If you've never heard about Call Tools, who's Call Tools? What is this? We're a cloud contact center solution. We support a lot of different tools and mechanisms for making outbound phone calls, receiving inbound phone calls to different queues, ring groups, IVRs. And our specialty really is in outbound, So we do have a power dialer, which allows you to dial multiple people at one time. You're only going to connect to live people, when they are on the phone ready to speak with you, versus connecting to voicemails and busy signals and the things you'd run into when you're traditionally manually calling people outbound. So if you're not familiar, we'd love to connect and teach you more about our platform. The reason I opened that up is that we're going to do a quick demonstration here about Call Tools and TCPA Tech, how we work together hand in hand with our technology and with our integration. So what I'll do here is let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll be able to see a contact here in my Call Tools database. And let's just say I got on the phone with this person, right? I'm on the phone and I'm ready to, capture consent. Hey, Randy, I'm going to send you a quick text message here. Please, can you take a look at it and follow the prompts on your screen? So from the Call Tools end, we would set up something that's called a connector button, which is a very simple piece of our platform to set up. It would then invoke a link that would bring you to your opt-in page on the TCPA Technologies website. And from here, I'll turn it over to the expert, which is Randy, and he'll take you through the rest of the experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you for sharing the screen. So basically, that link is a custom button configuration, which would take the data that's to the user. It would take the data out of the Call Tools system and actually pre-populate this screen for the agent to make a formal consent request. So as you see here, in this case, we've already pre-populated the screen with the first name call, the last name of tools, and the phone number you see there is my phone number. So with TCPA Technologies, we do a few things that are pretty, everything we do is unique. There's no other service for this, but we do some pretty, advanced thinking solutions here. And one of which is that what type of consent do you want to send? We offer the ability for advertisers to share their consent with their trusted partners so they can collect the consent on their behalf. There's really three main use cases that this solution is perfect for. Anybody taking incoming calls, anybody taking live transfers, because you really can't always trust where that lead originated from. So you want to kind of refresh that consent. And the third one is companies making transfers. So we've seen a lot of situations where clients want to collect consent on behalf of the party they're sending that call to. So we allow that in our system. So the second part, once the information is filled out on the top, is that the agent will be programmed inside of the link. But in this case, we would just select this. We've got a standard consent, we've got a dynamic consent, and there would be other tiles for other consent companies that if you're approved to send on their behalf, that would appear here, and all the agent would have to do is just click that consent. Once they select the consent language, they would just
in real quick. I know I'm sorry to cut you off. With the integration with Call Tools, we can structure this in a number of different ways. So you can either have one page per campaign, and that button just always brings you to the same form. Or in what Randy's describing, you can have one button that'll bring you to a dynamic page where you're then going to, depending on who you're speaking with, select the proper consent for the proper business entity that you're working with. So I just wanted to draw that, comparison that we could either control it one-to-one on the campaign that the agent is working.
Yeah, that's
or you can empower your agent to kind of step through and select which one that they're looking to enact for that.
Absolutely right. That's a great point. Because we could embed, basically the right consent language to use inside of the Call Tool system. So once they click, they don't have to worry about selecting anything. It's just automatically done. And at that point, all they would have to do is click the yes, we've talked to the consumer, they're ready for this process, and send the request. Now, on the right side of the screen, you see is my phone. So we're actually going to see exactly what the consumer experiences when they go through this process. The first part of the process is going to be the sending of a one-time password. That's very, very important, because what we want to do there is make sure that consumer that the agent is speaking with actually owns that phone number, that this isn't a reassigned phone number, that it's not a number that's going to go to attorney or a bad place. That phone number does belong to the consumer. The consumer will read that a 4-digit code back to the agent, and then the language will be delivered to that consumer. So we'll watch this entire process play out, and we can start that right now. So if I'm in the conversation with the customer, I would just say, okay, Mr. Customer, before we get started today, I just need to send you a quick text message to make sure we can give you a call back in the event we get disconnected or need to follow up. Is that okay with you? Customer would hopefully say yes, absolutely. So they would initiate the request right there. At that time, as you can see on my phone, that I just received a 4-digit code. So as the agent, I'm going to say, Mr. Customer, you would have just received a message from a phone number 844. Could you please look at that and let me know what that 4-digit code is? Agent would be told the code is 4540. They'd enter that into the agent window, and then they would instruct the consumer, stay right there. In 1 second, you're going to get another message with some consent language. We just need you to review. Feel free to let me know. Otherwise, reply with the word yes, and we'll be all set. So once the consumer replies with the agent's going to be instantly notified here as the screen changes that the opt-in is confirmed. So at that point, the agent can say, Mr.
Real time.
Thank you so much. We're good to go.
The agent at that time getting a real-time confirmation of the code, validating the phone number, as well as that they've responded yes. So now they're cleared to, proceed.
Yep, that's actually right. 100%.
That's awesome.
So that process takes 15-20 seconds. It's very quick, and all the engagement that occurs here is all stored for the benefit of the client. And we store these certificates up to 5 years to show all of the integrations and all the communication that occurred between the agent, the system, the consumer, the system, and the agent back. So it's a very solid form of consent and certificate that we have for your defense.
That's so incredible. Wow. It really, what I think the beauty of it is, Randy, is that it's simple, right? It's a very simple process. It's quick while you're on a phone call, and you're able to consent very well. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, we're good. I just note the screen was still showing. But yeah, we try to make this as easy as possible. Not the delay issue. Yeah, we try to make this as easy as possible. We really are trying to. Can we hear it?
We're good.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to make this as easy as possible, Chaz. We know that this is a big problem in the market, that companies are exposed. We want to try to get as many companies protected as possible. So we wanted to design a very easy, low friction way, for the company to be able to capture consent quickly from the consumer without having much problem with that.
That's incredible. Yeah, and we're very excited. I do see a market need for this, and we're happy to have built this integration to work very seamlessly for Call Tools customers. And again, even if you're not using Call Tools, TCPA Tech has an incredible solution. I'm sure if you reach out to Randy, he has a very bright team over there, and they can make it work for you and your business. Something special we're doing is that if you are working with Randy and TCPA Tech, we do have some special pricing and things we could do for you if you're a new customer to Call Tools. So please, if you've seen this video, if you've worked with Randy, please be sure to reach out and ask about it, and we'll be able to put that in place for you.
Well, thanks, Chaz. We appreciate that, and we definitely want to help get this across as many clients as possible to kind of help them keep protected. The one thing I also want to touch on too, and this is a big change, a regulatory change, which is coming out in April. And I don't think a lot of people are aware of this.
Okay.
They probably need to be. It's the revocation rules are changing in April. And where it's changing is that consumers are going to be able to request through any reasonable means the ability to opt out and take their consent back from the advertiser. So this could be any method that they use to communicate to a company, and the company is only going to have 10 days to respond to that, to update their systems. So that's going to be an operational problem, I think, for a lot of companies. I would say that when we designed the solution, we built it with these changes and regulations.
Sure.
So for every client that we have, of course, your consent language is already stored in our systems, but we're also going to create pathways of communication with that customer where they can communicate back through a text message or through an email or through a phone call through our system that will notify that client in real time that the consumer has some type of message they want to send you. If it's something simple like a stop message on a text message, we process that automatically.
Sure.
And we send the revocation confirmation to all the clients, distributed email list. If it's something we're just sending an email message or making a phone call, we would also notify that to the client as well in real time. So the whole point of this is it's going to be critical coming in April, because companies will need to know as soon as they can that a consumer wants to be out of communication. And if they are, you're going to have a short amount of time. So you need to be able to communicate with your
partner. That's something we didn't touch on either. So I kind of got ahead of myself here, but we do have the ability through TCPA Tech to take those updates and then append them to Call Tools and update your DNC list and things that are needed to be done. So as these real-time events are happening, we do have the integration in place and the triggers, which I'm sure Randy can hook up to any system, CRM or whatever the endpoints are, to reflect these opt-outs, right? So people that were previously opted in that are now trying to stop communication, that's the full loop, right? To ensure that you're updating your systems accordingly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if a consumer were to respond with a stop message, and we would process as a stop, we'd revoke it in our system, and we'd also send a webhook into your system to say, turn this record to DNC. And,
correct.
And on top of that, we would pass an email to that entire distribution list of that client, so they know that customer is now out of the process, and that they should inform their partners accordingly to make sure that data is locked down and they're not making any more marketing efforts for that consumer.
It's incredible. Wow. Well, this is a lot, and again, we covered a lot here in a very quick amount of time. But it's incredible. I think you're solving a market, an untapped market of technology that does not exist quite yet, So I think you're going to be a pioneer in this space, and we're excited to do it with you and help support our clients that need this type of a solution. Randy, if people want to get in touch with you and learn more about TCPA Tech, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Sure. They can always visit the website at tcpatech.com. There's multiple ways to reach out to us and communicate, or they can just send an email, randy@tcpatech.com or info@tcpatech.com works as well.
Awesome. I'll give my little contact info. I've had it up here in the corner. I don't get to do this enough, so I like to put my hand up here. You can reach out to me directly at my phone number here. It's been up the whole time, as well as my direct email, chaz.tedesco@calltools.com. And again, be sure to reference this video or your relationship with Randy and TCPA Tech, and we'll make sure you're taken very well care of.
Yep.
All right. Anything final, Randy, before we close out here?
Yeah. This compliance is no joke, and you got to get ahead of it. I think some people took away the message when the one-on-one stay was kind of vacated, or the ruling was vacated,
sure.
that they're going to be comfortable and safe again. And I don't want people to fall into a false sense of security.
Sure.
You need to put the best.
Yeah, these things were already in place prior to that going out, so that was just, making things a little bit more stringent in certain ways. But a lot of these things have already been in place for a long time, So,
it's not going away. The lawsuits are massive. People are losing a lot of money in this stuff. The best thing to do is get your consent on every single call when they come. For sure.
100%. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chaz. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. We appreciate you. Take care.